I'm Caleb Plaisance. I want to start off by saying that many countries around the world believe that healthcare, food, and housing is a human right. We say we have rights to those in America, but that is up to interpretation. So what I'm saying is that I want to bring attention to you all a coming crisis. Let me not say a coming crisis, but a crisis that has now already came and that we are dealing with right now. This crisis being the affordable housing crisis. You may ask, what is a housing crisis? A housing crisis is when single families or families in general or just people in general cannot afford affordable, safe, and comfortable housing for them to live in. This is due to a multitude of factors. One being private equity, another being weak government regulations and safety nets, another being low income, well, not low income, but income that is low compared to the rising cost of living, and finally, interest rates. I want to focus on the first two mostly, and the second two are still very important. Now, for private equity is just huge investment firms like BlackRock or Vanguard who come in and buy homes, single family homes, and they turn them for a profit, or they bring in, or they turn them into rental units. But the problem with that is they usually raise the rent higher than what it should be so that they can turn a huge profit. But that is a problem. There's a problem because 70% of low income families pay more than 50% of their income towards rent. And this is according to the National Low Income Housing Coalition. That is not livable. And if it keeps rising, they won't be able to keep up or afford these livable houses. Now, if you want to choose a larger demographic, we can say 30% of all renters pay 50% of their income in rent. And that is according to the government, census.gov. Now, the weak government regulations that I'm talking about is regulations that allow these big corporations to come in and buy these houses and still get tax breaks, write-offs, and depreciation write-offs also. Also, the rising cost of living is not keeping up with income, and interest rates are very high, which means it's harder for people to borrow money for cheaper. Which is, you can see why that would be a problem, because then you won't be able to buy a house because you will be stuck paying interest rates that are high. You might ask, what can we do about this crisis? The first thing we do about this crisis is is deciding on pieces of legislation that can help single family homes and take away these breaks for these large corporations. One being the Homes Act proposed by Representative Amelia Skies, and this act would in short take away most of the tax breaks that they get for buying up these investment properties, quote unquote. Another piece of legislation could be the Hope for Ownership Act, which was brought up by Mark Kelly, which would do the same thing as Representative Skies, but it would more so lean on the side of not letting them buy up a lot of these houses. Now, to tackle that goes hand in hand with private equity and government regulations. Also, the low income can now rise due to rising minimum wage that we would have to implement. And finally, we got some rate cuts. Rate cuts are important because, like I said earlier, if it's cheaper to borrow money, it would be cheaper to buy a house. and it is very important that everyone has affordable living, because it is directly correlated to a better society. That if everyone has housing, affordable housing, safe housing, they will be that means a lot of things will go down. Poverty, crime, it will go down. It will make the country a better place. I say this to say that, I bring this to your attention because you may not think this will affect you now, but this will affect you, and you cannot put it on the back burner. If you don't do anything about it now, then we will be fighting an uphill battle for a while. Thank you for your time.